Shalom and blessings to all of you saints. Shalom, blessings. This continues to, of course, be the day that Yahweh has made. And as saints, we are encouraged to rejoice and to be glad in it. I welcome you to this moment where we have our online fellowship. This is where we normally gather to have our interactions as saints, to have discussions based on what Yahweh has said to us as a people. It is such a privilege. It is such a humbling thought to know that Yahweh our Father would have chosen his emissaries, being apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers, those with other gifts they're given to the body of Messiah to equip you and to edify, to build you up, not to tear you down, but to build you up, to strengthen you, to make you be conformed to the likeness of the image of Messiah Yeshua. What a blessing it is to be here with you today. If you can hear me clearly, please provide me with that feedback. I bid you shalom, which speaks of that peace that Yahweh gives, that confidence that Yahweh gives to us, that it is always well. It is well. It is well. It is well, and Yahweh has got certainly the blessings, the abundance of grace, the wisdom, the knowledge, all that pertains to godliness has been given to us. It's a blessing. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Oh, hallelujah. Saints, I would encourage you to always be convinced and convicted that it's always well. It does not matter what you face in this life. Thank you, Javon. Thank you so much. It does not matter what you face in life. Remember that it is always well with the saints. Saints of Yahweh do not have bad days. We have divinely orchestrated days. Saints of Yahweh do not have bad days. We have days that are always divinely planned. Yahweh in his wisdom does not allow us to have what are called bad days. Shalom Theodore, blessings to all of you. What Yahweh gives to us are days that are divinely planned. And if you could endure the pain of today, you may see the blessing in tomorrow. If you can endure the pain of today, you may more than likely see the blessing of tomorrow. We do not despise any day. We do not be angry and upset at the things that happen to us on any given day. Yahweh is always good, and his mercies endure forever. We shouldn't say it if we don't believe it. David did not say the Lord is good. He knew the name of his God. He said that Yahweh is good, and his mercies endure forever. If he is good, it means that there's no day on which he would be bad. And if you are in Messiah, in him, then how can you have a bad day? He is so gracious. He is so merciful. In Galatians chapter 4, from verse number, I think I give you, it's verse 12, it should be verse 16. Graced to discern, zealous with motives. Shalom, shalom, shalom. As saints of Yahweh, I would that always you understand, you grasp, you gather his nature, his way of dealing with his people, and very importantly, the function of apostles or emissaries in your life. The Church of Messiah Yeshua cannot be confirmed to the likeness of the image of Yeshua without apostles in it. It is that important, because the only person who said that he had pledged to the Messiah that he would present the church at Corinth as a chaste virgin was an apostle called Shaul. That was his responsibility, to present that church, present those saints as a chaste virgin. He said that he's going to ensure that they are confirmed to the likeness of the image of Messiah. the likeness and the image of Messiah is seen in how we function in the earth daily. It is seen in how you function even on your job. And it has nothing to do with whether you pray and you fast on your job. Mama Rosie, shalom, shalom and blessings to you. Being conformed to the likeness of the image of Yeshua HaMashiach is not about whether you look all saintly and no. It is whether you're able to function as the Messiah would under any circumstance. Can you? Shalom and blessings. Let me just dive right into this. Galatians 3:16. Galatians 3:16. Shaul asks a very important question. I don't know why. Hold on. Something has happened that it shouldn't happen. Okay, that should be good. All right. He said, have I now, to the brethren, let me begin with this. Have I now become your enemy? Actual. Let me go from verse 12, sorry. Verse 12. Galatians 4, that I don't like doing that, but I put just for sake of referencing. Galatians chapter 4 from verse 12. He said, brothers, I beg of you, put yourselves in my place. He's speaking to Zealous, Shalom Hadassah. Zealous, Sister Dion, Shalom, Dion. Zealous with motives. They're individuals, they're bodies of people, they're even denominations and other groupings who would appear to be zealous. They have a lot of energy, a lot of zeal, passion. But you must, as a saint, be able to examine the motives. What lies behind the motives? Do you know, before I go to the text, do you know that I've been a part of organizations, religious they're called, where the leaders would have said, I had meetings with people, sat with them because of my position, as they would put it, and I sat and heard preachers advise me that whenever you hold a conference, hear this carefully, you hold a conference. I'm speaking to religious environment here, church. I was advised that you only hold a conference with making a profit in mind. You must plan when you hold a conference, a church conference. You must make a plan as to how you're going to gain profits, money from this conference. Are you hearing me, saints? Can you imagine, as a young preacher, my singing environment being counseled by what may be considered to be an older preacher, and his advice to me is that whenever I'm going to plan a conference, what must be in my mind is the profit that I make from it. Now that's what was said in the green room, away from all y'all now. But when he comes out on the stage, and when the preachers, the guests, of course, you have a slate of preachers, and you have to show who's coming, and you have to attract a big name and whatever else it is. Today may be uncomfortable for some of you who do this, but I want to expose what you do. Do you know that they sit and they negotiate in the green room off stage? That you will have at least sometimes 3 offerings taken. You have the main offering, which will be where the preacher will get up and then say, okay, then now it's time to give to the Lord, and they give you a word, and then they encourage you, because in this atmosphere you have to sow whatever. That's first offering. Then they will tell you that we have a conference, and at this conference there's an expense, and let's give so that we can offset the expense of this conference. And the encouraged person will have a seat to just sow. That's the second offering. Then the star of the show now, the star boy will get up on stage, and he's going to get the people all energized, and he's going to activate and charge the atmosphere, and he's going to give a word, and they have people screaming. And when he has you where he wants you, listen to this, they'll even make an altar call for souls to come to Jesus. Come and get saved. There you have it, Pastor Mel. You have a prophetic word. I see God. One name is Brian Carn. I could name them. TD Jakes, one time he had 5 offerings in Trinidad. Your boy TD? When TD went to Trinidad, he had 5 offerings in one service. 5. Not 1, not 2, not 3. 5. He was invited to the Bahamas for a closed meeting. Closed meeting. That's where you have an impartation. That's where you have the impartation. It's a private setting. Everybody's not allowed to be there. So the word went around in private circles, and if you wanted to be in there, you have to have $1,000 to be part of the private moment where T.D. Jakes would impart into you the word, the anointing. About 80 to 100 preachers attended, all paying $1,000. So in one sitting, one morning he flew in on his jet, collected $100,000 and left. At the conferences, I say again, when the preacher has got the people out where he wants them, they'll have a prophetic moment, and a word is given. A word is given, and you get a word, and you cry or whatever. Then when he's done, you say, okay, then in this atmosphere, we need to give. That's the 3rd time. They would even seek to announce that people have given their hearts to the Lord. While, don't forget, while I was told by one of the preachers that you should never host a conference unless you know that you're going to make a profit. It is with that in mind that I speak to you today. It is also important for me to take note and inform you that I have never done that. One of them, no more than one. One of them, he came from one of the islands in the Caribbean, and he was in the U.S. While I was in the U.S., Core Ministries International just started. We just launched, and I went over there to be with them. And he called me one morning, Saturday evening, and he said to me he's in New Jersey, or he's in the U.S., he's in New York, and he wants to know if I'm ready. Listen to this. And I said, ready for what? His name is Julius, by the way. I'll give you all the last name if it provokes my soul. So I said, ready for what? He said, if I'm ready for him to come to New Jersey to give a word, to give the word of the Lord. So I said, now which word do you have to give to the people? Since at that time I used to sit and have to meditate and all the rest of it, way back. So he said he would normally travel to the US, and he goes around to different churches to give people a word. I said to him, not here. I said you would not be giving any word in Commercializing International, because for one, the people who I lead are not there to ensure that you have your expenses offset on their backs. I said it's not happening. You're not coming here. He never spoke to me again, by the way. I didn't want to sit and tell the saints, oh, today I stopped anybody. I didn't do that. But I dealt with him, as they would say, condignly. I said that you're not coming because these people are not some little business opportunities for you. Another one came. Well, of course, leaders know about this one. Perry came, and while we were in the office about to go out to that was a conference we had. He was about to go out to preach. He said to me, I think Pastor Reggie was there. My son was right there. He said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "About what?" Now you see, it's funny for me now because I remember. I think Reggie were there, right? I think Pastor Reggie was right there. Perry said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "About what?" He said, do we take the money? How many offerings do you want me to take?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Do I ask for the money before or do I ask for money after?" I said to him, "Listen to me. You are here to preach. Whatever God," at that time I didn't speak Yahweh's name. I said, "Whatever God tells you to say, that's what you came here to speak about." See, Pastor, there you go. Pastor Mel know it. I said, "Furthermore, here is an offering for you. Don't ask anyone you go there." He held on to me. I told Pastor Ed was there. He held on to me. The old man held me. He said, "I have never seen this in my 30+ years of preaching. I have never seen a preacher give me anything before I said anything, and more so say to me that I don't have to ask the congregation for anything." I said, "We don't do that here. And don't let that ever be why you're here." Zealous with motives. Further, I say to you, the gospel singers, we're going somewhere with this today, just bear with me. The gospel singers, I remember I was working in Living Waters Kingdom Ministries. I can say that because you'll understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. Those who know. And my position as what they call the in-house pastor, I was there throughout the workday. I had to do reach out to certain people and have interactions for the sake of the ministry, as it's called. And we had an interest in bringing William McDowell, for example. I give myself away. Remember that fellow who closed his eyes and sing? I give myself away so you can use me. Oh, yes. And you hold your heart and you sing, "Here I am, here I stand." That same one. We want to have him come to Living Waters Kingdom Ministries. Of course, I had the responsibility of reaching out to him. I'll tell you about C.C. Winans next as well. So I said, Living Waters Kingdom Ministries in the Bahamas has an interest in having you come here, listen to the church language now, to minister. You hear it sound right there? Right. We want to come to minister to the saints at one of our conferences. I was directed to his manager, who happens to be the drummer. I don't know if he's still this guy is still his manager. The manager said to me that in order for William to come to the Bahamas, William McDowell, we have to pay in advance. I think it was $7,500 up front, along with proof that there's a presidential suite, I think it is, and 3 or 4 rooms at a specific hotel. Upon arrival, he will have to get the other 50%. They didn't ask you if the church can afford it, if the church, what size is the ministry, what's your average weekly income, or something like that. Just so you have an idea as to what you work with. No, these guys started from in front. We tried to get C.C. Winans. Mercy said, "No, I'm not gonna let you go. I'm not gonna let you slip away. You don't have to be afraid. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never failed me." That same one. I had to reach out to her to come to Living Waters Kingdom Ministries to minister to the saints. CC's husband is a manager. We were told that CC Winans had to receive $10,000 US up front before leaving the US, along with a first class plane ticket before leaving the US, a 5-star or whatever hotel, again the suite, a suite, not a room, before leaving the US. Upon arrival, we have to pay her the other $10,000 US, or she's not coming. Or your boy Kirk Franklin, make me happy, make me do blah, 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 blah. Right. Kirk Franklin had to be paid $40,000 US, plus the airfare for all of the people, plus hotel suites. Limousines had to pick them up. No, not no taxi cab. Limousines had to get them. $40,000 US for a 1-hour performance. But when he goes on stage, it's called ministry. But when you're doing business with Kirk Franklin, it's called a performance. CC Winers would have been 45 minutes to an hour maximum for $20,000 US. They don't care about whether you have profit made or not made. Juanita Bynum, I'll talk about them today. Juanita Bynum, when she comes to preach at the church, she had a person assigned to the offering room. So when she's ministering to you, laying hands out there and you're all falling down, wherever it is, and giving a prophetic word, Juanita had one of her armor bearers and her agents go to the office where the money is counted, and they had to count along with the accountant. So you can't tell her didn't make as much money to give her $5,000 or $8,000 or first of all, they have a flat fee. So maybe $5,000 up front and then 50-50 based on the two other offerings they asked for. So you can't tell her that you made $10,000 alone or $2,000 alone. We need to have somebody counting the money with our accountant. And they sell products, they sell tapes, they sell oil, they sell t-shirts, they sell rags, they sell parts of a towel, they sell water, they sell everything. I am called a false apostle because I do no such thing. None of it. I do no such thing. I have never done any such thing. Our preacher once called me. Please, I think some of you understand. I think you understand where I'm going with this, but let me go there nonetheless. Because I have sons who understand, and that's why people don't get it. As to why there's sons and daughters of mine who value me in a particular way. Because I ensure they walk the road with me. One of them had the gall to tell me he would like me to come to preach because he realizes that I have a word and the power, the miracles and all that they were seeing. He said the church, the bus, the engine isn't working. The fellow said the church engine, the bus engine stopped working. And I must go preach to raise an offering to buy back the church engine, the bus engine. I said, are you out of your mind? You want me to preach, and he said perform some miracles and so on, so that we could have some money to buy a bus engine? I said I'm not doing that, and I'm not coming anywhere. What I can do, if you'd asked, is simply have Commercializing International write a check to you to help you to buy a bus engine. That's it. But I have to be used. I said the people in the congregation, what would they be hearing? He said the word of God. I said, but when they hear the word of God, don't you and I know why I'm preaching the word of God? You and you're making a business arrangement with me before I go to preach. Knowing that I'm going there to preach, I'm going to lay hands on people, I'm going to blow, and people fall out and all the rest of it. When we have a business plan behind this, I said, I'm not doing that. If you wanted help, that's at Grace Apostolic Center. I said, if you want help, ask Grace Apostolic Church. Well, let me see being there. I said, if you need help, ask for it. But you're not going to make me some pulpit prostitute and pimp. Now that I've come to the knowledge of the truth, you think that they could ever take that risk with me? Joy, I think we asked to perform miracle. Joy is so brilliant. So Shaul said, verse 12, put yourself in my place. And I just want to have an introduction to this right here. Brothers, beg if you put yourself in my place. After all, I put myself in your place. It isn't that you've done me any wrong. You know that it was because I was ill that I proclaimed the good news to you at first. Let me go here with you. Shaul was not well. Shaul was not well, and he still proclaimed the gospel to those at Galatia. Although he was sick, in his sickness, he had to preach because he wasn't able to travel. I want to talk to somebody here today about how easily you become dysfunctional in ministry. I tell you, we're talking today about grace to discern and zeal, or being zealous with motives. I am beginning to watch people who love the Lord and love Yeshua and love Yahweh when it's convenient, and when everything for them, as they say, all the ducks are in a row. But the moment they become some opportunity or some moment whereby you have to release something or you have to be inconvenienced in some way, then the work of Yahweh has to be on pause. Shaul was a sick man and he preached. I remember in the Bahamas my instep was broken. I was on crutches. Not clutch, right? It's called a crutch. Something to prop you up. I was on a crutch preaching with cast on my foot. I remember I once lost my voice because of pharyngitis, some laryngitis, whatever it was, some jitis. But I lost my voice for 3 weeks. I could only whisper. And I told them, set the microphone. And I whispered to the congregation and still spoke. How many of you, from the moment you have a headache, today's not a ministry day, if you get up and you're about to iron your shirt or your beautiful dress, you have 55 of them in the closet. But the one you chose, the one you selected for this Sunday or this Saturday or conference night, the moment you put the iron in, it got burnt. You are not going to fellowship anymore. You can't sing anymore. You can't dance. You cannot serve as an usher, as you put it. You cannot serve in any capacity because you have burned your dress. The shoes you wanted to wear has become a little tight, or it dried out because you had it resting for so long and got rotten. And you're so mad that the shoe you chose to wear with this outfit isn't matching. So you cannot minister to the Lord anymore. Be mindful, be careful of how easily the work of ministry becomes secondary to you. I know my sons, Pastor Reginald, others, Pastor Mel as well, she's not a son, but would work for hours, and she would still, after leaving home at 6 in the morning, driving for how long to go to work, come back, attend a conference or fellowship. Ordinary Bible studies, they'll call it, huh? But we had fellowship, not Bible study. When we used to meet twice a week, 2 days in the whole week. She would at night just walk in. Pastor Rich would be lifting barrels, moving forklift, doing that, all the rest of it. JJ as well, all of you know it. Head into fellowship. Regina would be in the bank working all day, standing, and still had to show up 1 hour before fellowship began. Do you hear me? No, not half an hour before. 1 hour. Go on the stage with me, and I'll be on the keyboard, and she had to sing to nobody. And sing until people came. And still keep singing, because you weren't singing for people. So you don't need an audience if you're not singing for people. You're singing to him. And if he's present with nobody around, I don't know why I have to wait for someone to come to start singing. Or for me to start playing. So we have a record in scripture where Shaul was sick. And though he was sick, he was still able to preach the gospel to the church at Galatia. Mind you, this is all a part of him rebuking them for following or seeking to turn to the doctrines of wicked people who wanted to tell them to go back to keeping the law to be righteous. And in the midst of a rebuke, he said to them that I was able to preach the gospel to you because I was sick. Can you imagine Shaul was willing to preach the gospel to them although he wasn't well? But they're willing to go follow some false teaching because it sounded better? Let me ask you a question, please. How prepared are you to value those who have made sacrifices for you to succeed? How prepared are you as a saint to value those who've made sacrifices for you to succeed? Do you know what some people go through for you to be successful? For you to function efficiently? Do you know what it took for some of you to be able to hear the gospel? Do you know the pain that I and others would have had to endure in some instances just for you to hear the truth? Shaul, in rebuking them, had to inform them that he was sick, and he still preached the gospel to them. And he said, and even though, verse 14, my physical condition, even though my physical condition must have tempted you to treat me with scorn, you did not display any sign of disdain or disgust. So it means Shaul was really in a bad shape. No, he said, you welcome me as if, listen to this carefully, I had been an angel of Yahweh. Galatians 4:14. As if I had been Messiah Yeshua himself. It's written in your scripture. We're an apostle of Yeshua. Was treated as though he were Yeshua himself. Let that marinate for a second. Tatika said, apostle, have you noticed that even though they have all this reason for not ministering or going to church, but to do whatever it takes to go to the job, oh, you could say that 10 times over. That's the truth. Because they deal with a financial reward system instead of divine principles and law. Money is the god of many people who claim to be saints, by the way. Because of how obedient they are to those heathens, just because they paid to do so. In today's society, even those who claim to know Yeshua would despise any emissary being treated as though he were Yeshua himself. Do you hear me? In today's church, there are not many saints, very, very few saints, who would treat an emissary as though he were Yeshua himself. It's written. He said, you welcome me as if I had been an angel of Yahweh, as if I had been the Messiah himself. It is written by the apostle. That's how the church of Galatia treated him. But look at this. Although they welcomed him in that manner, they were still prepared to turn to false teachings that sounded better. Can you all let that sink in for a second? In the beginning, they were prepared to welcome him as though he were an angel or though he were Yeshua HaMashiach himself. But when the false teaching presented itself, they were so stupid that they were prepared to reject what they heard and who they valued to follow what sounded better. Look at this question to them. So what has become of the joy you felt? Oh, for I bear you witness that had it been possible, you would have gouged out your eyes and given them to me. But saints, I've been assigned to talk to you today about zealous people who have motives. If you as a saint are not in the spirit and you're not discerning, you can be attracted to zeal and not truth. And zeal is the passion with which people function. So you can see somebody calling you every day. Somebody could be seeking to check on you, or they calling to pray with you and to pray for you. Or when you're not well, they show up at your door and just want to ensure that you're all right. When you have some family crisis, or they show up just to pray with you. And in your mind, the truth of the emissaries are no longer of value because this person shows you more love than even your apostle. Type this, please. Zeal is usually attractive to those who are deficient emotionally in any form. Zeal is usually attractive to those who are deficient or lacking emotionally. If you have a need to be wanted, then zealous people can always attract you or be attracted or attractive to you. You place value on how someone pays attention to you rather than you're paying attention to the truth. Are you attentive to the truth, or are you attentive to how you're treated by those who are zealous about you? When some of you are disobedient to apostolic doctrine and apostolic instruction, the zealous ones who check on you every day just to ensure that you're all right. Is anybody in the spirit here? When you are disobeying even what is written, there's someone who checks on you just to ensure that you're all right. So can you imagine that you're supposed to be all right as a saint while you're disobedient? The apostle Shaul had to warn them, and I'll show it to you here, verse 16. Have I now become your enemy? Said he. Because I tell you the truth. I will always ask you that, saints. Have I now become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Look at the question. I don't know why this is happening. Hold on. Shaul asks the question. Have I now become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Look at this. True. So he's telling them about the teachers now. And I want to tie this into what makes someone an enemy of yours because they tell you the truth. The same people who are prepared to see Shaul as Yeshua himself. That's how they received him. Who saw Shaul as an angel of Yahweh, they received him in that manner. The same folk who are prepared to gouge out their eyes and give it to him so he can see properly. The same set. He had to ask the question too. Have I now become your enemy because I tell you the truth? What destroys your relationship? In some cases, I'm well aware that someone told you the truth, or you told someone the truth about themselves. And the moment you told them the truth about themselves, they left. They were enraged. They were mad. And the relationship ended. Or in some cases, the relationship is now strained. It is at the tipping point of being over. You don't talk to each other anymore as saints. You don't want to even interact with one another because one person told the other the truth. And that truth made the truth teller an enemy. Shaul was asking the church at Galatia this. He wasn't asking the devil this. He wasn't asking the heathen this. He was speaking to the church at Galatia. And he said to them, have I now become your enemy because I told you the truth? Saints, would you just think about how Yahweh would deal with you, or those who become so bitter at hearing the truth while they possess, according to them, the spirit of truth. Diana, shalom, shalom, sis. Shalom. When you possess the spirit of truth, how does hearing it cause you to hate the one who spoke it? Yahweh called Shaul to be an apostle. That's Galatians chapter 1. When it pleased the Father, he said, he called me to be an apostle. And he sent me to the Gentile nations, the Goyim, the Gentile people. Upon being sent to the Gentile people, here he encounters a church at Galatia, who at the initial stage had significant value for what he preached. But later on, they encountered other people who were zealous, other teachers. And in their zeal, these teachers managed to get the church at Galatia to turn from believing in Yeshua's righteousness as the only way for salvation. They turned from that to now saying that you can obey the law of Moshe, and that makes you righteous. They turned away. I'm here to talk to saints today, to ask of you, to plead with you. Do not be so quick to turn away from what is righteous because of how someone treats you. People who are false teachers are usually soft-spoken, kind, friendly, very helpful. In many instances, there are some false teachers who would offer the most comfort to Yeshua's people. Because the zeal has attached to it a motive. And the motive is for you to see, or for you to know, that you can come to us. You are a part of us. We love you. We're not going to hurt you as London did. We're not going to rebuke you. We don't speak as aggressively as he does. We're not involved in any public issues as he is. We don't cause trouble in the community as he does. We're not controversial as he's described. No. We're nice people. So we're a good fit for your family. Remember that your daughter or your son is a QC or Bishop's High or some elite school child. You don't want to have your child in an environment whereby this man is Tomanti men and nasty sodomites and stuff. No! Those aren't words for your child. Your child is too sophisticated for that. We're a good fit for your family. Over here we smile and kiss you on Sunday. Good to see you, sister. Hey, how are you, baby? How are you, precious? Wonderful little girl. And the zeal that they display has everything to do with your tithing performance, or your son's ability to play an instrument, play the drum, play something, or your daughter's ability to dance in the dance ministry, as they call it, or your ability to cook food for free for the church. There's something attached to the zeal that benefits them, not you. In this wicked, evil, perverted age, your children must, not should, must be able to see the faces of those who hate evil. I want you all to hear me clearly, and this if you haven't heard anything else from me today. This world has become so wicked that if you do not direct your children, or you yourself, show them anger in the face of wickedness, they will believe that the most evil people are good. Because after all, you don't have a problem with them. Why did Yeshua HaMashiach, I wish I could find a belt, I ain't got none. Why did Yeshua HaMashiach, he grabbed my sister's bag, this bag, you know. Why did Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, take a cord? This is not a cord, but just an example. And drive people out of a temple. And your pastor preach about this. Your pastors talk about this. In the face of those who are selling at the temple. Selling doves, selling goat, exchanging money. They were doing business at the temple porch. Yeshua got a cord and beat them out. Why would he do that? And tell them, and you all like to have a prayer meeting, right? My temple should be a house of prayer. But you have made it a den of thieves. And you all preach about that in church. And then you get upset when a preacher tells the society they're wicked and they're evil. And you say, you shouldn't be like that. Show my brother apostle to you. You shouldn't be like that. Why are you being so aggressive? Was Yeshua aggressive? Was the Messiah aggressive in the face of wicked people doing business at the church? If I have my way with some of your preachers, I'll beat you every single Sunday because you're thieves. I'll wait to the church door to beat some of y'all up because I know just what you have in store. The children saw the Messiah beating people, and the children came to him. Oh, y'all don't miss this right here. And the disciples said, don't come, no. And he said, allow, suffer means to allow. Allow them to come to me, and don't stop them, for such is the kingdom. The children saw. And the passion of righteousness was attractive to a child. But the preachers tell y'all that a passionate preacher is not good for your intelligent daughter. And it's not good for your intelligent son. Because your son or your daughter is too intelligent to relate to a preacher who speaks so angrily. Well, let me tell you about the zeal. Let me tell you what he said about the zealous. He said, these teachers, the false ones, are zealous for you. Listen carefully here. He told the church of Galatia, these wicked men are zealous for you, but their motives are not good. Oh my Lord. They are zealous for you, but their motives are not good. Listen to this. They want to separate you from us so that you become zealous for them. This is written. This is written. They want to separate you from us so that you can be zealous for them. They are zealous, yes. They are teachers who were zealous, but their motives were not good. Those who are zealous for you are zealous in many cases for your money. Don't they tell you that when it's pastor's birthday, pastor has to have a birth month of offerings? Huh? They are zealous for you. One person told me, oh, I'll tell you all today. A preacher told me, he said, the more you grow the congregation, the more your bank account would grow. He said, the more people you have, there's always potential to get more money. Not to give more money. So you must, this is the advice now, I'm telling you the truth. He said you have to evangelize. Boy, Yahweh caused me to be among some of the most wicked men. I'm now looking back at it. To tell me what not to do in ministry. He said to me, he said you have to evangelize so your church would not have economic strain. No, this is not about building the kingdom of anything here. Can you imagine a preacher schooling me that how do you grow the church? It is not souls. He's advertising now. 10 souls came to the Lord. 20 souls came to the Lord. That's what Facebook would see. But what did they teach me? That you have to evangelize. Because in this pool of fish that you catch will be doctors, lawyers. Some of them will be broke, but right, it comes. Because when you pull the net, listen to the lesson now. When you pull the fish net, you get some stone inside, you get some sticks inside, but you get big fish, you have small fish. When you pull this net, you pull many things. But at the end of the day, fish is still there. Do you all understand why I hate these men to this extent? Because I believe Yahweh is taking me to a place now where some of you are going to understand the nature or the cause of my hatred. I'm not a crazy person. Though many think I am, that's fine. But I hate them. Do you understand what it's like for me to now be brought to the truth of Yahweh? And even then, I said I cannot relate to this teaching. I couldn't ever make sense of it. It couldn't make sense to me. Regina is seen as a brand in certain circles. If they have her, who? Pastor Nelson, Apostle, you had us leaders in New Jersey give to me the needs of the congregation. The congregation was never told to give us leaders. There you go. But they gave to me the needs of their fellow congregants. Thank you, Pastor Mel. The witnesses are all here. as a ministry, come as you are ministries in right there, and New Jersey, I need you all to know, please, we have collaborated, as they call it, not to build a house for me, or to build also Apostle Thomas, or to buy me a car, or buy Apostle Thomas a car. We've gotten together, the U.S. and Guyana, to build a house for our sister Nikki, whose husband, Pastor Robert, is no longer with us. We are building our sister a house, so she have to ask anybody to live anywhere in the not too distant future. She'll have a home of her own, because her brother was trying to do the same. Somebody close the bedroom door for me, please, if you don't mind, if you hear me outside. Because that is how Core Ministries International functioned from the beginning. We gave to the saints, not to the preacher. The church, although they have every right to do so, has never bought me a vehicle. Never have I asked for an offering to buy me a vehicle. Never have I asked for an offering to help me to build a house. Never have I asked for a salary from the church. 13, 14, how long? Since 2010. You all do the math. Up until today, I do not receive a salary from the church. It is within my right to be given assistance to help to sustain myself. That's the right of the preacher according to Yahweh's word. But I have never once, because Shaul told the saints at Corinth, he said, I have every right to take from you because this is right, to receive help from them. He said, but there are others who are lurking around right here. They want opportunities to tap in and get money from me as well. He said, so for that reason, I didn't take anything from you. So while I was in New Jersey and all that, I never took a salary from the church. They never rented a house for me to live anywhere. Apostle Thomas is not paid a salary. Apostle Joshua Bessoon is not paid a salary. So how is it that these false apostles are not taking money from you all? 14 years, thank you, Tricia. And give so much. The zeal of the false teachers is never about the interest or the spiritual interest of a saint or well-being. Let me put it that way. The zeal of the false teachers is never about the spiritual well-being of the saints. It is never about that. Do not be deceived by it. The zeal of the false teachers is never about the spiritual well-being of the saints. It is never about that. I don't matter how they come to you. It is about your being zealous about them so that you can be attracted to and governed by their false teachings. Let me show it to you. Shaul said in verse 16 of Galatians 4, they want to separate you from us. Be mindful of those people who, even among those of y'all who are Yeshua, who always try their best to detach you from what the apostles say. Oh, they are even among y'all. They're even among you, hanging out with you on a normal basis. And in the most casual environment, they are trying to separate you from what the apostles say. Why? Because once you are separated from what the apostles say, then your zeal turns to them. And when your zeal is on, your focus is on them, they have you in reference to indoctrination of what is false. Type this, please. You cannot follow an apostle of truth while you serve a false teacher. None of you can do it. You cannot follow an apostle of truth while you serve a false teacher. Brother Chris and Sister Corinne, shalom and blessings. Shalom and blessings to you all. Some of you all try it. You are under falsehood, but say that you submit to truth. It never works. You are deceived. What you have is information while in bondage. That's all you have. All that you have is information on one side while you are in bondage. You cannot follow an apostle of truth while you serve a false teacher. It is impossible to do. And what some of you are yet to realize, that false preachers who love your money, they don't mind who you listen to, as long as you're giving money. I am telling you this. Take my word. Test my word and see if it's false. A false teacher doesn't care if you say Yeshua in the congregation, you know. As long as you are giving your money when the offering basket passes around or the chest comes around, you're in good shape. When they check your tithing performance and they see that for 12 months, which there aren't 12 months in a year, but according to the wicked system, for the 12 months of the year, you give consistently, you're good to go. You're no problem to them. In some cases, you can go on the stage and say Yeshua too. They don't have a problem with that. As long as when the offering time comes, you give them money as a tithe with me, and you don't eat money, by the way. Because Yahweh's people are supposed to eat the tithe. As long as when the basket or the chest or the bag, whatever they send around, whenever that comes and they check the record, they see that your giving is good. And when it's January this month, and here they'll have your first fruit. And these creatures, in the face of an economically oppressed society where our prices have skyrocketed, I told y'all, in construction, some of y'all would choke. Even the labor cost in construction has increased. Why? Because you can't find laborers to work. These people know. Even in the supermarkets, there's price gouging. In every aspect of our society in Guyana, people are just throwing prices in your face as if they're crazy. And these sick men will tell you that at the end of this month, according to Pope Gregory's calendar, you must give them your entire salary as a seed. It's called first fruit. Now listen to the language. First fruit. What is a fruit? Yahweh's word was clear that they give the first of their crops and the first of their animals. He never said you give the first of your money. So may I help you with this, please? If you did not have crops and you did not have animals, you never took part in first fruit. Because you didn't have it. It was for those who had animals and those who had crops. So how can you tell me that in January, when there is no crop being harvested in Israel, you're giving your whole salary? Mind you, they don't tell you that you pay your landlord. One of them said, I'm telling you all, this is not third-hand information here. One of them said, your rent you'll deal with that in February. So you have to pay 2 months rent in 1 month. But this one, and then they bring the widow. The widow had a son. She had her last grain and her last jar of oil. And she gave to the man of God. So don't tell me about rent. That's what they tell you here. So for January, you must owe your landlord. When this book said you must owe no man anything but to love him. They forget about that. You must owe GPL, the power company. You must owe your phone company. If you have a car note to pay, forget about the car. God got you. And they call me false when I said, nonsense. None of you, not one of you, none of y'all can ever say in your lifetime that I told you to give me your salary, or I told you to give me your car, or I said to give me whatever. There may be those who would say, out of love, I will give you whatever it is because I value what you've been to me. You see the difference? And I can say this without reservation. I have a son who said that. He said, listen, for some reason, he and his wife, whenever I give anything to you, this, and he doesn't do it every day, he said, whenever we have an instruction to give anything to you, something happens to us financially that is more than what we've had before. Not that you get a little $500 blessing, or you get something. No. His entire family's financial status changes. His employment status changes. And there are many who said that. Why? Because my nature is not to take from any saint. And I've never been a swindler and a crook. And as Pastor Mel, who's an accountant with the ministry, could tell you, I would normally say, give to those who have need. Give it to the saints. There is no line item in our international audit because we audited by an international company in New Jersey. There is no line item called apostle salary or pastor salary. None. For the past 14 years, there is no item in the audit that says, this is the pastor's pay. Can you imagine that? Can you all just think about that for a second? That for 14 years, a church that I said from day one must be audited. Externally, by the way. No internal audit here. Pay those who don't belong to the organization or whatever you call it. None of you inside here will do that. Bring them in to audit the books. And for 14 years, there is no item called pastor salary. Instead, there is benevolence. You give to this person, you give to that person. Give to this one to start up loan, whatever it is, give. And there's no loan with interest in Commercializing International either. You don't have to take interest from people. But those who say that you false, or we false, are saying in January, give to them all of your money. Don't pay your phone bill. Do not pay your children's school fee if you have to pay it. Don't even think about grocery shopping. These men are so, one of them said, listen, you fasting, we need grocery shopping in January. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You just give us all of your money, every cent. Don't pay the car note, don't pay the rent, do not pay the court, don't pay a mortgage, do not pay anything. Give us all. And there are people who I saw rush to do it because they're desperate for a change. And when I called their pastors thieves, they were mad at me. They're mad at me for saying that your pastor is a thief. He's a criminal. She is a charlatan, a crook. Shaul spoke to zeal with motives attached to it. Zeal with motives. The motive attached to the zeal was about getting the saints to be zealous for the false teachers. The scripture is clear that the saints were zealous for the apostles. The scripture is also clear that in the last day, scoffers will arise. People who talk ill about such relationships. So that those who will be mad at you because you love your leader, or you love Apostle Thomas, or you love Apostle Discern, or Apostle Zechariah, you love Pastor Reginald, or Pastor Willie, or Zechariah. Oh, you mad. Oh, they're mad. Oh, they're upset. Why you love them? Scoffers will arise. And I even know that even in the church of Yeshua, among the saints are scoffers who are mad at you for valuing your leader as the saints of Galatia once did. So let me take you back to text and show you something. Let's go to verse 14 again. Galatians 4:14. Let's revisit that text. Let me show you something. I know some of you are getting uncomfortable when I speak in a certain manner because you're not accustomed to hearing the truth in this way. That's fine. Yahweh may give you grace to receive it or not. That's up to him. Galatians 4, let's go back to 14. He said, and even though my physical condition must have tempted you to treat me with scorn, you did not display any sign of disdain or disgust. No. You welcomed me as if I had been an angel of Yahweh. As if I had been the Messiah himself. Look at this. People who are among you, even now as a saint, who may be very close to you, would encourage you in many cases to devalue an apostle of Yeshua. You know why? Because for as long as you devalue the person who Yeshua has sent, you have devalued the weight of the word of Yeshua that was sent, or the word of Yahweh that was sent. Did you get that? The enemy's tactic would be to ensure that you devalue, these people devalue the emissary. They encourage you to do it. Reduce who the apostle is. Because as long as you see him less than an angel of Messiah sent to you, which is what a messenger of Yahweh would be, an angel of Yahweh. But for some of you would never see Apostle Thomas as Messiah himself. Zechariah, no, me, no, never. You can't look at these men like that. That is unheard of in today's church. Mind you, there are people who are called saints who will tell you that you must not look at any leader in that way. There are leaders who will tell you must not look at a leader in that way. So once you are encouraged to devalue Yahweh's servant, then the word of the servant is also devalued. So this is where you begin to decide whether you're going to accept it, or you're going to reject it, or you don't even have to listen to it. Because after all, what Apostle says to them isn't that important. He's just like me. He's just someone who on Sunday or whenever it is, he has something to say, I will come and join live because I'm a part of the fellowship. So let me just say what he has to say. Maybe sometimes he says something I have no interest in, so I'll just go somewhere else. That happens when you devalue the man of Yahweh. Look at this. The same ones who do that, when tragedy strikes them, you all don't know that, they rush to my phone or my presence to say, Apostle or Nigel, please help in this situation after they've encouraged you to devalue who I am, or the value what Apostle Thomas is, or the value Apostle Bissoon or whoever. No, don't care, Pastor Reggie. Pastor Reggie can't talk to you. He's just Pastor Reggie. But when trouble hits, do you know what it is for me to tell you that my father, elder, is the man in this earth to whom there's no other human being in terms of a man who I love more than my father. Do you know what it is for me to tell you his value to me and somebody devalues him to you? No, man, let me tell you this again. Do you know what it is like for me to tell you what Apostle Thomas means to me as a brother, or the emissaries Apostle Zechariah or Apostle Bissoon? These brothers are dear to me. Do you know what it is for anybody to seek to devalue them after I have told you what value they have to me? This is not a new occurrence, because the value was not lost because Shaul became less valued to Yahweh. The value was lost because some false teachers were seeking, and they succeeded at getting the Galatians' attention. How did they get it? The doctrine, let me close with this right here. Don't miss this, please. Pay attention, careful attention here, please. How did they succeed? Come. They did not give the Messiah a new name. They didn't give the Messiah a new image. They never said that you're not saved by grace through faith. That was not the argument. All that they did was they added a layer to what the emissaries said. I hope somebody got that. All they did, Apostle Thomas, was say, listen, add the law to your saintly experience. So you're saved. The Messiah is Yeshua. But in order for you to be saved for real, you have to follow the law. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. And some of you, in your being so naive, sad to say, but it is the truth, you feel at ease because somebody says Yeshua around you, while they are adding to what the emissaries have told you. And what they add is not what the emissaries have taught you. So they can add to your being a young wife, but you don't have to be subjected to your husband. They can add that you are a daughter or a son, but you don't owe apostle any degree of allegiance to this extent. Why you have to be so submissive to him? They can add that you don't have to give apostle anything. When the book says that those who teach you, you're supposed to communicate or give back to them what is tangible. Who teach you spiritual things, you give to them what is natural. Oh no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do anything like that. So what they do is they make you feel comfortable with what you have never been taught by the emissaries. Shalom, 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 Apostle Josh. Shalom and blessings, my brother. They would make you feel so comfortable hearing what you never heard from an emissary. Bear with me. Bear with me. Who among you makes your spiritual leader a common, ordinary man who is not to be respected? Who among you makes your spiritual leader, as you call it, a common man who is not to be respected? Who does that? Do you know the person? Can you identify an individual who does that? Leaders of the Church of Yeshua HaMashiach were chosen before the foundation of the world. They were chosen by Yahweh to prepare the bride of Yeshua. If you understand Hebrew culture, you'll be very far from that behavior or from those who display it. Because in the Hebrew culture, those who prepared the bride, they had such a significant responsibility that they could not prepare her to be rejected by her husband. You had to know how to prepare her in oils, in certain baths that remove toxins from her body, that get her smelling right, looking right, smooth. She couldn't have blemishes on her face. She couldn't have an odor. She couldn't have a discharge when her husband came for her. Be very careful of people who are not skilled at preparing the bride, but they want to devalue her husband. So while they are bathing her, they're telling her that he's not such a good man, and he's not all that you think he is. And you really don't have to listen to him, because after all, you're a young woman, and you have your whole life ahead of you. And you don't have to talk to him as though he is any significant leader, any lord of your life. I told my daughter yesterday, she tell you, talk to him because Sarah called her husband Lord. Let Regina table me. Quincy is not Quincy. He's no ordinary man, because I give my child to him. Well, you all thought at the wedding I was just talking to the seminary, just yapping my mouth, just to sound impressive? I meant every word I said. Her respect for me is reflected in her respect for him. If she disrespects him, she disrespects me, and I'll deal with her for that. But there are those who claim to have responsibility to prepare you for your husband, and all they want is a chance to be in the room to tell you that your husband is of no value. They want to tell you that you don't have to listen to him. And I'm just speaking here as though I'm speaking to the natural, but I'm speaking spiritually here. They are close to you. You give them so much access that they're very close enough to touch you, for them to tell you in your ears. Nobody hears them. You don't have to listen to Apostle. Apostle is just like all of us. These men are just normal like all of us. They have a past like all of us. Yahweh talks to us too. I don't agree with the apostle saying that. I don't think he needs to be that. I don't think he needs to go here. I don't think he needs to do that. And they are so brave that they will seek to instruct us as to how we ought to conduct ourselves. The saints, the sheep, would want to tell the shepherds about how the shepherd ought to function. Messiah Yeshua is returning for the bride, prepared by the emissaries, prepared by the prophets, prepared by those who have been gifted to edify her. Saints, I submit to you that people who are zealous for you, while they have no spiritual responsibility to lead you, are those who are likely to lead you down a path of destruction. Watch it. Be mindful of them. Be careful. May Yahweh keep you and preserve you in this great, terrible, and evil day. Yahweh's intention is for his son to receive a perfect bride. You are the bride of Messiah. We are the bride of Messiah. The church is the bride of Messiah because it's a covenant. The father is giving the woman to the second Adam, because the father in the first case gave the first woman to the first Adam. So in this second Adam's case, according to 1 Corinthians 15, he's presenting the bride, the woman, to the second Adam. Perfect. She's not deceived. She will never be deceived. And that's another lesson I'll teach you. Because the first woman who was flesh was deceived. The second woman, who's the bride of Messiah, cannot be deceived. Hence he said that if it were possible, even the very elect would be deceived, but it's impossible for the bride of Messiah to be deceived. Because the first woman, the bride of Adam, was deceived, but the second could never be deceived. Saints of the truth are never deceived by zealous liars. I say it again and I leave you. Saints of the truth are never deceived by zealous liars. You are graced to discern when they're tricking you. I'm not speaking to preachers alone. Anybody who wants to come with some lying story to you, you have an antenna or antennae too that says, don't believe that. Do not listen to that. That's a lie. You are graced to find liars among you. I promise you that you have the grace. What some you don't have is the alertness to know that this right here is an alarm going off in my head. I shouldn't listen to these people. Do well. I love you, saints. May the blessing of Yahweh continue to abound towards you. And to those of you who continue to give to me and to help me, I am grateful. You give to my family as well. I am grateful. We are grateful. Thanks be to Yahweh. His mercies endure forever. I love you, saints. Do well. The other matters will be discussed, but not here, not now. Do very well. Shalom. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. Shalom and blessings. Hallelujah.